So I just finished playing the game in front of you with the absolutely stunning box art, Wind Waker HD on the Wii U, and everything everyone's been saying about Wind Waker in the last few years is 100% true. It is an astonishing experience, I would say, and I don't think I've used or thought of the word astonishing for games ever, but wow, the storyline, the atmosphere, the mood, the world, of course, the visuals, the characters, and the feeling. How many other words can you use to kind of describe just the feeling and the mood of the game? Probably no others, but that's my one takeaway. Just the immersion into this world and the atmosphere it creates through its storytelling and its setup and adventure style and the music is some of the music is the best I've ever heard in a video game, let alone a Zelda series. So yeah, I can't praise it enough, really. And I wasn't around during the. I mean, I was around during the release of the original game. I had a GameCube, in fact, but I didn't pick up Wind Waker for some reason, even though I'd played Ocarina of Time. And actually, no, I'd only played Ocarina of Time before that because I'm a Nintendo 64 kid generation. So I didn't play Wind Waker on the GameCube. And I didn't really remember hearing about it or um, seeking out reviews and things like that at the time. So I don't know what the reaction was to it, critical or publicly, at the time of its release. I'm assuming it didn't sell that well just because of the GameCube not selling that well. But I do believe the reception critically was very good, but perhaps the art style being like Toon Link and cel shaded was one of the reasons it didn't maybe get great reception from the public, as people were wanting a more dark and sort of adult Link feeling. But anyway, I don't remember exactly. That's just my take on it. And since then, there's been heaps of retrospectives which have been so in depth and amazing from like all these great YouTubers, which I could never recreate myself. And everyone's pretty much saying what I'm saying about the atmosphere and the feeling and the mechanics and everything in the storyline. It's just yeah, I think it's a 10 out of 10 to be honest. And in terms of the Wii U version HD, there's like I know there's two schools of thought about um, which not which version is better. People generally think the Wii U version is better overall because of the fast sale, the gamepad additions. You know, looking at your map on the gamepad and selecting items, and the Triforce quest, which has been reduced, I think, kind of halved at the end of the game, which I have even having done that after having thought you're a lot of the way through the game, I found that quite time taxing. So I can't imagine the original quest where you had to get all those maps and a kind of doubling of the work you had to do to get all the Triforce shards. So, not having played the original, I already know that I prefer the HD version simply because of the streamlined nature and everything. Even though I didn't even get the fast sale, I don't know why. I just don't think I knew it existed, or perhaps I'd forgotten that it existed. So yeah, this version for me is a 10 out of 10, and I would assume the original version for me is maybe a 9.5 out of 10. And in terms of the visuals, I do see the point that people make about the oversaturation and the bloom effect, which kind of does impact this original aesthetic and maybe the intention of the developers. But boy, like the HD is as crisp as I can ever imagine. I don't need a game to look any crisper than that. And uh, yeah, the bloom is overdone, but it does, as people pointed out, it does give that sort of shimmering, hot tropical effect, which is quite unique. I don't think that's an intention, but or maybe it was. It's Nintendo. They obviously know what they're doing. And yeah, just the crispness and the resolution, everything for me is if if that is much higher than the original, then I already know that I prefer this visuals, despite a couple of scenes where um, the aesthetic has been changed. And yeah, and nighttime sailing is beautiful. I mean, the transition from day to night and the skyboxes and everything. And apparently, that's a bit more um, colorful on the HD version compared to the sort of blockiness of the original version of the cell shading. So yeah, I can't fault it as an overall assessment. And I think if I played again, I would get the Swift Sail because as much as I actually really did enjoy just going through the open seas at the with the maximum speed on the regular sail and just turning the camera to look at Link and hearing that amazing piece of music, and sorry, look at Link and the Red Lion boat and hear that amazing score, and I could just watch that bobbing up and down on the waves, and I could watch that for a while and then just put the controller down, do something else, wait till I had to get to where I was going. Um, I really loved that, but if I played again, I would get the Swift Sail and enjoy that um, kind of scene, but just in I guess fast forward. And what else? I mean, I think what's really nice is how grounded it is because Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, whilst really nice, great games. I didn't finish Tears of the Kingdom. I lost the game. I'll have to go get it again. They're not grounded. Of course, they can just manipulate the world in sort of fantastical ways and fly and everything and climb anything and all that, which works for that game. And I know they had to innovate Zelda at that point, but it's a nice contrast to play a Zelda sort of, let's say, old school, where his abilities are very grounded. He's just always a little boy. He's always weak. He can't jump. He can't really climb anything apart from the vines. He can glide a little bit on his leaf, but his stamina or magic runs out. So everything is sort of contained in this little world, yet it's a massive adventure, and you always get the feeling that you're obviously, because you are just a little toon child, and you're navigating the world with in the limitations of being a child, but obviously unrealistically as well. Like for example, a lot of his navigation to higher spots is through his little rope, which is just still just a kind of basic brown rope, which he flings over little tree branches and stuff, and he can't swing that far, he can't jump that far when he's on the rope. He kind of gets a little bit of forward motion, but again, it's quite grounded. And his boomerang is pretty ineffective and small, and his master sword is pretty small, so it's really they did so well to make it like this little boy who goes on an adventure, and even his world, whilst big in terms of the sea, is quite small. All the islands are very self-contained, and some are minute, some are medium sized, but um, it all fits in with the groundedness in terms of how big the islands are, and um, even how many islands there are on a map, and what those islands contain and things like that. They're all pretty even simple, but in a good way. So I really love that about it. Love Link's, love Toon Link. I hope they bring it back. Um, and any criticisms, I would say that I think the dungeons weren't as good as I thought. I think that's people have said that, but the latter dungeons aren't maybe weren't that good compared to the first half of the dungeons, like the fortress, which I really enjoyed. Yeah, I think that would be the only thing. I think the dungeons aren't. Some of them are quite linear and quite basic, and let's say even say easy to finish. And I'm not very good at puzzle solving at all. In fact, I usually have to refer to guides and things. But even I found them, some of them relatively, basic, whilst fun, still maybe a little bit too basic. I feel like the developers ran out of steam a little bit at the end, but I'm not one to blame them for that. So that's the only little criticism I can level at it. And as I mentioned, the slight moments of overbloom and oversaturation and that kind of stuff. And um, I don't know, frame rate for me was fine. I'm a person that doesn't really care about 30 frames. It's good enough for me. I grew up on Nintendo 64, so 30 was probably the best it could be, except for F-Zero, I think was 60, a few games. So frame rate was fine, and I just love the story. And oh man, I hope that Toon Link makes a comeback, even on 2D or something. I think there's so much space to like reimagine Toon Link back to a 2D Zelda, or put him in another game, or crossover. Just he's so cool. I mean, I'm so thankful that Nintendo made this. The genius is there, and yeah, I was happy to finish the game because the Triforce quest was getting long, even this version of it at the end. But now that I finished and I look back, I just think that was one of the greatest video game experiences, let's say. I won't say the best gameplay that I've had, but it's still amazing gameplay. Just, yeah, one of the best video game experiences, music and everything you could imagine. And this game deserves all the praise it can ever get. And I hope they actually release it on the Nintendo Switch too. I hope they try and make more money out of it, to be honest. Like, they should release it as a standalone cartridge game. Perhaps they should do the HD Switch version and the just the the emulated Switch 2 version online, plus this Wii U HD version as a dual pack, or this and Twilight Princess HD for like as much money as they want. Because anyway, Twilight Princess HD was great as well. I really like Twilight Princess, but this game was so memorable. And yeah, just wanted to share my thoughts, and peace out, everyone, and go play this game. Just play this game, and you will not regret it, and you will come away thinking like I will, I promise. See you later, everyone.